The Michigan Street Bridge is one of the most photogenic spots in downtown Chicago, which is saying a lot. On the north side of the bridge, you can see wedding photos being taken, quinceañeras being celebrated, and a guy playing the bagpipes, all at the same time. You need to be careful when walking on the south side of the bridge, however, because street performers might distract you, and you'll end up stubbing your toe on a silver plaque on the sidewalk. The silver plaques are on the four corners of Michigan Avenue and Wacker Drive. They mark the location of where Fort Dearborn once stood. Fort Dearborn was important to the development of Chicago. So much so that the first star on the Chicago flag symbolizes it. Fort Dearborn was built in 1803 as a defense against the British, who still didn't get over the ugly breakup with the United States in 1776. Its name comes from a guy named Henry Dearborn, the same guy who Dearborn Street is named after, who was, at the time, the United States Secretary of War, which is what the Secretary of Defense was called until 1947. The department is still all about war, and not much about defense. Which is obvious because the two times the United States actually needed defense, on December 7th, 1941 and September 11th, 2001, the Defense Department was nowhere to be seen.
Surprise, surprise, surprise!
They're obviously a lot better at war than defense, so maybe they should change their name back for transparency's sake. Anyway, the fort was destroyed during the War of 1812 between the United States and Great Britain. It was burned to the ground in 1812 by the British, right? Nope, it was burned down in 1814 when the war ended by the Potawatomi Indians, who were allies with the British. It was rebuilt in 1816, but wasn't used much because there was a general peace with the Indians. It was abandoned in 1823, but in 1828 a war with the Winnebago Indians broke out, and it was used again. So instead of being used as a defense against the British, it was being used as a defense against the Indians. Eventually, Fort Dearborn was being used by the Superintendent of Harbor Works, and in 1855 part of it was demolished so that the south bank of the Chicago River could be widened. The Great Chicago Fire destroyed the last remnants of the fort in 1871. Fort Dearborn was built in an era when violence could erupt at any given second in Chicago, as opposed to today, where peace, love, and harmony rule the day.